Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Chris Legospi, and today we are going to continue the head drawing exercises series. This week we will talk about alignment of the features. Features are obviously very important, but in my mind, the most important thing to understand and to get right is how to place them on the head, placement and alignment. Without that, you can draw beautiful features, but if they're not in the right place or if they're not in the right position, they will not look that good. So we got to put the features in the right place first. And that's what we're going to cover today. And I'm not going to go over the exact mechanics of how to draw. Again, this is more going to be about exercises that you can do to improve. And this is going to be very beginner friendly exercises as well.
And before we begin, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my free Insiders Club. Insiders Club members get first access to these weekly live streams, and you also get access to other live events, and you get discounts on courses and programs, along with access to free lessons and other free content available only to subscribers. So all you have to do is go to www.drawwithchris.com, and there you can enter your email and you'll be good to go.
Okay, we're going to start with warm-up sketching. So we're going to do some freehand simplified heads and practice our alignments. Then we're going to do some copies of a Luminous diagram. That's this image you see here on the screen now. This is a diagram from one of Andrew Loomis's books. And then we're going to do some tracings, starting with master artists, and then from photography, where we're going to study and evaluate how the features are aligned. And then we're going to do our own drawings based on master artists and then from photographs. So let's begin. And before we begin, comment below. Let me know, where are you located? Where are you watching from? I'm currently in Thailand at the moment, and it's 9 in the morning for me. So thank you for joining me wherever you are. We're going to begin with some warm-up sketches. So this is just an example of what a simplified construction head looks like. I call it a shovel head, a very simple sphere with some simplified plane analysis. But for this warm-up, we're going to do this little shovel head, simple construction head, and then add some basic alignments. I'm going to start with a basic 1 3/4 so you can see how to draw it. So basically you take a sphere and then you follow the curve of the sphere down to create the front of the face, and then in the back of the sphere, follow the curve down and forward to create sort of the jaw and the bottom of your neck, and then your chin will be this straight, and then you could take that corner and that would become the side plane. So it's sort of like a simple shovel head. This was covered also in another earlier video about planar drawing, so definitely review that. So once you have that, now we want our basic alignments, which we begin with the eyes and the center of the head, the horizontal center, and that basically just cuts everything in half. So I'm just going to ghost in a line there and then take it all the way back, because that'll help me find the ear. Remember, eye line and ear line line up. And then I'm going to do the center of the head, or the face, excuse me. So that'll help me line up the nose and the mouth and things. I'm going to do the same thing for the side. So this will help me align the ear and the jaw. Then I'm going to do what's called the thirds, which is just a quick little line that indicates hairline, the brow line. Now this distance between the hairline and the brow line will be the same distance from the hairline to the bottom of the nose. And that distance should be the same distance from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the face, the chin in this case. So that would be the thirds. It's called the rule of thirds, the thirds proportional rule. So a lot of what we covered in the previous lesson on proportions, those same alignments, those proportions are actually our first set of alignments. And I'm just going to put a little ghost in some eyes, and then the center of the eye will help me to find the tear ducts. So the edge, the inner edge of the eye where your tear duct is, aligns with the side of the nose. And then from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, right down the middle, about halfway, is the mouth. So this my first set of alignments, and just going to keep sketching now. I know that might be a little too confusing, so I'm just going to keep sketching some more. I'm going to do one looking up now. So one of the reasons why we want to use these alignment tools and practice them and internalize them is because they help us when we have to turn the head. So it's if the head is not looking up or down, or it's not turning left to right too dramatically, front view, three-quarter, and side, right, the basic views, then we could use our basic proportional rules, the thirds and the halves. What I'm doing here, this is the rule of halves, will help to line up the features. But once you turn the head up or down, looking up or looking down, then it starts to become a necessity to have good alignment and proportions, because the proportions will change. So for example, here we have the head looking up. So now I'm going to do the rule of thirds. So I'm just going to ghost in a hairline, and then I'm going to ghost in the bottom of the nose. Then I'm going to just touch on the mouth there while I'm here. I'm going to find the ear. It's the side of the head, and that also gives me the jaw. And then now I'm going to, oops, excuse me there. I could tell that my just kind of ghost in the eyes, and then the tear duct, the inner edge of the eye, will help me line up the nose. So we'll keep going. Let's do one that's sort of side view. And we'll do one side view, have it looking down. So again, this is a really, really, really important tool once you start to rotate the head up or down, which happens a lot, all right? So if you're brand new and you're kind of lost at this step, that's okay. Practice the shovel head, review the planer. I believe it's the first video in the series talking about planer head. So you get used to drawing a three-dimensional form in three-dimensional space, and then you can practice the vertical and horizontal halves, so cutting it in half and having it make some sense. So now I got that. Now I'm going to do my thirds. And see, just placing these marks, hairline, brow line, bottom of the nose, then do the bottom of the lip here, center of the mouth, really helps me to practice my basic alignments. And I'm just going to kick out the nose here because it's side view so we can better see. And then I'm going to ghost in an eye. Help me see the alignment of the nose. Then from the side, we can also use the rhythm, which is also covered in another video in this series, from the ear to the center of the chin will help me align the cheek there, but this just gives me a nice, just more information that it's a side view. Okay, keep going. So we got side. Let's just do straight front view, but looking down slightly. Just practice, practice, practice. So start with a sphere. Okay, now I'm going to do straight down the middle. And then, so because the head is turned down, right, I'm not going to put the line, the eye line across. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it slightly lower than what I think it should be because of foreshortening, right? The measurements will be changed. And then I'm going to arc it a little bit because I want to show the arc of the head. That's really important. Okay, so I got center line. Can't really see the side, center of the side, but I know where the ears are going to go because of my eye line. And then the brow line, bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the chin right there, center of the mouth, halfway. And then I'm going to ghost in some eyes and just sketch some circles. Side of the nose there. I'm going to give me a little bit of a nose definition just so I can remind myself that I'm looking down. And then the hairline. So the hairline's distance is going to be a little bit longer, right? From here to here will be a little bit longer than from the brow line to the nose. Why? Because of foreshortening. So as it goes away into space, the distances will get smaller. That's foreshortening. So we can also show that. Okay, so that's another alignment sketch. Let's do one more. Let's do side view, almost side view, but looking up. So if you're watching at home, comment below if you are brand new to head drawing or realism. You know, you're kind of new to this. Comment below. Let me know any new people here because I know a lot of normally the videos I put out aren't very beginner friendly, I'll be honest. They're a little bit more advanced. So hairline, brow line, bottom of the nose. So now the bottom of the nose is going to be compressed, or excuse me, it's going to be the opposite of what we just saw. And here's an alignment that's good for side view. It's the bottom of the ear connection lines up nicely with the bottom of the nose as well. You'll see that more as we do the Luminous diagrams in the next exercise. Center of the mouth. So now we're just going to ghost in an eye here. It's a side view. So the other one Can't really see. And yeah, I feel okay about that. Again, it's just a warm-up sketch. So yeah, if you're brand new, you know, this might be a little too advanced for you. Just remember, as long as you can draw a simplified model and at the very least divide it in half horizontally, right? So that your eye line looks pretty good and the vertical center. And once you can do that, then you can practice making sure your ears look good because we need the side of the head too to look correct. And the ear becomes an important tool for us as well because the ear helps us find alignments. And we'll explore more of that in the next exercise. Our second exercise, we're going to copy the Loomis diagram. So this is from a book by Andrew Loomis, How to Draw Heads and Hands. It's a wonderful book. I'm just going to copy these 3 steps. It's a great way to learn any complex thing is to copy. And you can sort of see the origin of the shovel head that we just drew. And what I like about this diagram is that it has the alignments that we just talked about, which are also the proportions, remember. And I'm looking at the diagram on the upper left first. I know my drawing's not that neat, but it's okay. So you can see the eye line here, nicely written and identified for us. Notice it flows backwards nicely into the vertical center of the back of the head. And that helps us to locate the ear and then the brow line, the hairline, bottom of the nose, bottom of the chin. So exactly what we talked about in the center of the mouth in this case as well. So we have our basic alignments here. So this would be a nice thing to practice, you know, as a warm-up exercise. It's kind of what we did earlier. So now I got that. Let me flesh out some details now. So I'm going to go, now I'm going to look to the diagram on the upper right there and then try to flesh out a little bit more detail. And this is great because it's a nice simplified diagram and you can learn the basic alignments, eye line, brow line, hairline. In the bottom of the chin, you can see kind of checking mine. Mine's a little long now. I tend to do that. And I tend to give my a lot of cranium for some reason. And Loomis also likes to use the brow line. He pulls it back to help him find the top of the ear, not the ear connection, the top of the ear. So that's a great tool to use. He uses the bottom of the nose to find the bottom of the ear connection. Remember to arc your lines there. It's very important. The head is not, in a sense, it's a box, but in general, it's mostly an egg. So it's a box, it's a cylinder, and it's an egg. That's why head drawing is so hard because it's an organic thing, but the geometric forms help us. So you got to keep that in mind. That the head is curving up and down and like an egg and left to right like a cylinder. So it's both, and it has planes like a box, so it's all three. And you can see how Loomis's alignments work nicely here. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy the detailed version at the bottom of the diagram there, just to see where I'm at. I think my alignments feel pretty good. If you're brand new, this may be a little challenging for you, but I would still recommend at some point try to copy the more detailed version, because eventually you're going to have to do more and more complex drawings yourself. And this is a nice beginner-friendly diagram to study and copy. Okay, so that's my first Luminous diagram. Okay, let's try this one here. This is a nice looking up, so the most difficult one to study, but it's important that we see and practice these alignments. I'm going to start just like what we saw earlier, just like we practiced earlier. Sort of draw the shovel head, which is basically a sphere with a frontal mass for your face. It's basically a simplified skull. So now I'm going to kind of place my eye alignment. You can't see the ears a little bit. You can kind of see the lower part of the ear. This part right here would be the center of the head. So in this diagram, you can't really see the ear, but you can see the alignment. You can see how he takes the eye line and curves it back. You can see the bottom of the ear, right? You can see the nose leading to the bottom of the ear. So that's really helpful. We want to model that. So just keep practice, practice, practice. Keep drilling that into your brain. Horizontal center, brow line, bottom of the nose, just the center of the mouth here, and a little for the chin and her hairlines. She has a little bit of hair, some bangs. So these are my basic alignments. Let's see if I can keep going here and flesh out some more detail. I'm gonna draw my eyes, spheres for eyes. And remember that from the last proportion lesson, we learned that the head is roughly 5 eyes wide, so one eye in between. Let me just get a sense for the mouth. When I first started to draw more realistic or illustrative style, basically comic books, it's like every young kid, young boys like to draw comic books. I remember one of the books was that first influenced me was How to Draw the Marvel Way. A lot of the diagrams were from old comic book greats like Jack Kirby and John Buscema. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And it's exactly what I did. I just copied the diagrams until, you know, until they started to make sense. And I didn't even know about Loomis, but the lineage is very similar. The old school comics, the illustrators are all kind of related to the same lineage, same line of information. Can't really see the back of the head, but that's okay. Just gonna just ghost it in there. Now I'm going to sketch out some more detail now. If my alignments feel pretty good. And I'm just gonna flesh out a little bit more detail here. As an alignment study, it's pretty much complete. I want to make sure that the eyes are the right width and size. You want to practice the eyes, and this is a great way to do it because Loomis is an excellent person to model and to copy and to study. He is an excellent draftsman. But these drawings, these diagrams are more for designed for teaching, so that's why they're great to copy versus more of like a finished head. And let's see. Okay, so I'm not going to add any tone or shading here, but I just want to make sure that my drawing feels okay and it does line up. Right, bottom of the nose lines up with the ear. Here's one that also I haven't talked about yet is the center of the eyes line up nicely with the mouth, the edge of the corner of the mouth. So that tells me that my mouth can go a little bit wider. So that's another way to check yourself. Width-wise, we got a lot of vertical alignments. We have a lot of practice now. Okay. I think as as a study, I could keep going here, but I think as a study after Loomis diagram, this is a good stopping point here. We can move on to the next exercise. Okay, our third exercise is to do some tracings. You can print out these drawings and use tracing paper, or you can use digital. It's fine as well. And if you're following at home, you can just follow along with me here. So what we're going to do is look over these masterworks and then try to find and trace the alignments that we use, starting with the major alignments and some ones that are helpful as well. And this is by Anders Zorn, one of the great portrait masters here. So the most important, in my opinion, is horizontal center, which is eye line, which is ear as well, ear connection. So notice that's reading well, left to right, and then it turns, obviously, at the cheek, at the side plane, and then boom, it does line up nicely with ear connection. Let's look for the center of the head. Let's see if that lines up, and it does. Okay, so that's the vertical center. Let's look at the vertical center where the ear would be, just so that we have nice alignment there. Ear connection, that should lead us to the nose. So now let's look at the third. So we have hairline. Now this gentleman is, hairline's kind of going back a little bit. I can relate. So the estimation, notice I put it a little bit lower just so estimate, uh, you know, the doesn't doesn't seem the measurement doesn't seem too large because his hairline is receding. So from here to here should be about from here to here. Now this will compress, meaning it'll shrink as it goes downwards. So because basically what we're looking at is this sort of thing. We're looking at a plane. If this was just a plane, and the far thirds was here forehead, hairline, brow line, nose, and then chin. Notice that these three distances get smaller and smaller as you go down in space. So that's foreshortening. So we are looking, he's looking down. We're slightly above him. And so we got the thirds, center of the mouth. Now the center of the mouth should also give us the earlobe, and it does here in this case, so that's a nice alignment to use. The bottom of the nose gives us the ear connection. That's another nice one to use. So the eyes, let's go ahead and ghost in or sketch in the spheres, the globe of the eyes, really important. And then the tear duct leads us to the side of the nose. That's good. Can't see this eye. Center of the eye will give us side of the mouth, and it does in this case. Here's a nice one to help line up the cheek and the corner of the chin. You can flow that to the ear. So that's a nice one to use in side and 3/4 view. It helps you to find the cheek, which is related also to the corner of this. That's also another, it's a rhythm line, but what I have feels pretty good. So as a tracing, I think this feels pretty good. I got my major alignments, and we could see that the great Zorn, master of realism, has beautiful alignments that we can learn from. Okay, our next exercise is we're going to do tracings from photographs. So obviously, you know, if you're just beginning with practicing alignments, you want to do multiple views. So get paintings by Zorn or Sargent or any great master realist. I do recommend Zorn and Sargent and Reppins and the Leyendeckers and things like that. and you want to do multiple angles. So we just did one kind of looking down, slight looking down. Now we're going to do this one looking up. So again, when you're doing photo, you want to do looking up, looking down, side view, 3/4, and things like that. But mainly, if you want to practice alignments, look for photos that are head is looking up and looking down, or the camera is above or below the eye line. So in this case, he's looking up. So this is a tricky one. It takes a lot of practice. So let's find our alignments. Horizontal center. Notice the curve. We got to find the curve. Looking for corner of the eye and tear duct. And of course, that leads us nicely to the ear connection. And there's another ear connection. And that's the lobe, upper part of the ear, the lower part. The jaw helps us to find the center of the head there, inside view. Vertical center, so he has a widow's peak, a point to his hairline. So that gives us a nice clear indication of vertical center. Let's find the third. So we have our hairline, we have our brow line. That distance will be roughly the same. Now we know that because of perspective, now the opposite of what we just saw, these distances will be bigger. So we got to keep that in mind, right? If we're doing the thirds, hairline, eyes, nose, if we turn it upwards, rotate the head up, rotate the plane of the face up, we know that this distance will get shorter and this distance will get longer and longer and longer. This one right here from the bottom of the nose, and then this one will be even shorter. See the difference? So that's a foreshortening thing. So we have to account for that, and we do see that here. It's very subtle. So we have our horizontal alignments. Let's see if the brown line in this case also leads us to the eye. Excuse me, the ear. The brown line leads us to the top of the ear. That's good. The nose helps us to find, it's pretty close to the ear connection. The mouth doesn't quite line up to the bottom of the ear, but that's okay. So I'm going to ghost in or sketch in some spheres, some globes, so I can make sure I have my horizontal alignment right. I want to make sure that they're roughly one eye apart, and you can tell they are. And then this tear duct will help me to find the bottom of the nose. Can't see the other tear duct. The center of the eye will help me find the side of the mouth. I forgot to put the mouth right between the bottom of the nose and the chin. And if I want to find this corner, that cheekbone, I could use that rhythm nicely to help me align that. So that's a nice clue, the jawline. Help me to find chin and ear and the center of the head. So that's really, really helpful there. And yeah, feel pretty good about this tracing. I know this is going to be really tough to draw, so I recommend that if you're new, you want to do as many of these tracings as possible, and then eventually copy one of the masters who do this head looking up or looking down. It's very tough. Okay, exercise number 5 is we're going to actually do a alignment focused master copy. So we're going to try to study and copy this master drawing and focus on the alignments, sort of like what we did with the tracing step, but now it's going to be one A little bit more difficult. Obviously, we have to do a drawing now. And this is by the great Ilya Repin, a great Russian master. And okay, let's see. And this is tough. This this is tough because it's the looking up. If you're new and you're still learning, your features and your placement, I would choose one that's not so dramatically looking up. I wanted to show this example because it's a good example of one looking up. It's a little bit tricky, takes some skill. And so you could start with less difficult poses. Like I keep saying, is that this view is tough. Looking up and looking down, it's really tough. So it's for the new people. I would take it easy on myself, but you definitely at least do left to right head turns. Okay, so I got just a rough shape. I'm looking at her hairline now, trying to find the center of the head and make sure that my angle is correct of my center line here. And this is really uncomfortable for me. Normally I would, the line is so ugly. Normally I would turn my paper, but I'm trying to record a class here, make the angle easier. So I got center line. I'm gonna use it to also lead me to the ear. Just kind of sketch the ear. The ear will give me connection, lower and upper ear connection. Remember, the lower one helps me to find the nose, and then the ear connection itself helps me to find not only the center of the side plane, center of the side of the head, but also the jaw line. So I got my vertical and horizontal centers. Look for the thirds. Remember the thirds, the upper part of the ear. Gosh, top of the ear helped me find the the brow line. Right? If you don't know exactly the distance between the eye line and the brow line, use the top of the ear to help you align that. And then the ear connection will help me find the bottom of the nose. But now I have the thirds here from the brow line to the nose. That's 1/3. And then the hairline. So her hairline is a little bit low, partly because she has thick brows and also because of the foreshortening again. So this distance is going to be a little bit bigger than from the bottom of the chin to the nose, going to be a little bit bigger than from the bottom of the nose to the brow line, and also moving up to hairline, bottom of the mouth. So I can tell that some of these features should go up. And I think my jaw is too big. I'm not accounting for that double chin there. We're beneath her, but she's looking down actually. So our eye level is below the model, but the model's actually the head is turned down. So we going to keep going here. I got my basic alignments. I'm gonna just try to find where the center of the eyes would be. So I'm just gonna ghost in this eye here. Just ghost in some spheres. And let's see. And as I'm drawing, I'm trying to pay attention to the original, obviously, but also to really pay attention to my alignments. Just keep reviewing what lines up with what. I'm going to use this ear to help me find this area here in this cheek. So now I know that my ears way too far back. I can tell now just by comparing shapes, the shape of the cheek. So that rhythm line helped me to see that my ear was too far back, too much space from here to here. All right, and let's see. I'm gonna try to now some detail here, looking at my eyebrow hair now, shape of the eyebrow hair. And that's helping me to refine the shape and the distance from the brow to the top of the head. So she does have a bit of a small forehead. The measurements, rule of halves, rule of thirds, is just a nice starting point for idealized proportions. Those are what the idealized proportions of idealized male or female, right? The superhero model type faces, but they give us a nice starting point for basic human proportions. Let's see, just get the shape of the eye and this. I'm looking at his drawing, and this would make a beautiful eye study as well. These eyes are just absolutely gorgeous. The way they're drawn might be worth looking at on another day. So many different ways to learn from the masters. And Ilya Repin is just a world class master draftsman, someone whose drawings are just absolutely great to model from and learn from in his painting as well. And I'm not going to do any shading here, both for sake of time and just for the nature of this. This is mostly a alignment study. But yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously, and if you're following along at home, you can definitely add tone as well. Once you add the tone, it'll start to feel more like the original. But in this case, I'm just going to use line to practice my alignment. So we can move on to the next exercise here. Okay, our final exercise is now we're going to do studies from photography. So this is going to be really tough. Obviously, as you're working your way up, you want to do the freehand sketching, various construction heads in various angles, positions, practice your sketching and your alignments there, and then copy some useful diagrams like Loomis, then do your tracings. And I would do, again, as many different head positions as possible. So for this video, if only able to do one, so definitely do one looking up, looking down at the very least. Those two, and then side view would be helpful. Now we're going to get to the most advanced part. So this is going to be difficult, obviously. So if you're brand new, this part may be a little too challenging for you. So go back to the previous exercises. Do as many as you can to build up your drawing skill, especially this example and the one we're also going to do. The next example will be looking up, looking down. It's really, really tough. But yeah, if you're watching at home, do your best and just follow along with me if you're watching for the first time, and then find some reference that's a little bit less tricky if you're brand new and this may be too advanced for you. Okay, so I got the basic shape, and I typically start my drawings more of a shape-based drawing, and I have lots of videos here on that, how to start ahead with shape. Lots of videos in my channel for that. So I got the vertical center, the shape, which is giving me the construction head, right? The shovel head, there it is, real lightly. Just kind of, and also indicating the hair. I'm not going to do a full-on drawing, obviously. It's more of it's an exercise to help my alignments. So vertical center, horizontal center, where are we at here? Just ghosting it in. I do see the ear. And then the ear will give me also the center of the side plane, the jawline, obviously, is what we want. Now, brow line. Now, her hair, her eyebrows are shaped. So I'm paying more attention to the bone. I'm looking more right here. That's more of the bone. So the eye will curve up and over the brow bone. So we don't want to curve our brow line, our initial brow line measurement. We just want to use it as an initial tool, really, just to help us place the features, get our proportions and things. I'm going to go ahead and find that because I need to know where that cheek is. Bottom of the nose, just ghost it in, looking at this measurement, central thirds, upper thirds, central thirds. And then the lips will go right in between. Bottom of the nose also helps me to confirm the connection of the ear. So now I got that going. Okay, so let's flesh out some more details here. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to start with define the hairline, then define the brow line here. I'm going to ghost in some eyes, some spheres. Now the tear ducts will help me to find the nose, side of the nose. You can see this tear duct as well. And you can see why, if you notice the way I'm drawing, is kind of exactly how the process that we saw with the Loomis diagram. So, it's no accident. A lot of the way that I do this comes from the great masters and the great teachers. So I constantly look to them and try to encourage the new artists and new students to look to them. And let's see, I gave the mouth a little bit more definition, but I just want to see where am I. So now I can look to see where am I at here with the side alignment. So I know my ear can come in a little bit. I can feel it's a little too, it's not quite. I'm gonna do my best though, and I can't get it perfect every time. Now we're just gonna, now I'm gonna add my little bit of detail here, just so I can see where I'm at, make sure my alignments are working. I forgot to curve the eye a little bit there. Remember, the eye line isn't that. Well, it is when we start. It's a nice starting point, but remember, eye line, when the head's looking down, will curve. So there's a curve to it. Head is a cylinder. So although you may start at a straight, which is fine, it's perfectly valid and useful, when you want to refine your placements, your alignments, and your shapes, now then it becomes time to refine your marks. Go from straight to a curve, or vice versa. You may need to do the opposite, but when it comes to form, the head, we definitely need to communicate that the head is round. Okay, I think it's okay. Let me see if I think the alignments are okay. Um, I'm going to add a little bit of tone here just so I can kind of see what's going on. Okay, just going to add a little bit of tone so I could just get some clarity because I'm just looking at a bunch of lines, sketch lines right now, and this will just help me to show a little bit of form so I know if I think as a line drawing, it's good. I would call it finished, but as an alignment study, I need I need to do a couple more checks. See, now I'm making sure my alignments are good. I think they definitely read, and the placement is okay. So that's good. Now I'm trying to get somewhat of a a little bit of accuracy if I wanted likeness. So if you're drawing at home, I don't think you have to get a likeness. This is strictly a alignment exercise, so you don't need likeness at all. If you're practicing, especially if you're brand new, that's a whole other skill and topic for another day. But this is yeah, I think this does help me to see, okay, I'm pretty much on the right track. I know it's not perfect, like it's not perfect, but the alignments are okay. And oh yeah, now that I'm adding the dark frame around her, it's making me feel a little bit better. But again, not necessary for this exercise. I'm just doing this for my mental health here. So if you're a little bit more advanced in experience, I would definitely take your copy as far as you can. Once you get your alignments, definitely add your tone marks, clean up your drawing, obviously. Try to do a finished study, a finished head drawing once you have your alignments and that. But I only recommend that if you're, again, if you're a little bit more experienced. For those who are watching who are brand new, definitely focus on the line drawing first, the alignments. Don't worry about shading at all. At all. Okay, so now it's starting to work. Just a big mess of line drawing can get confusing. Okay, so let's move on to the next example. Okay, and then we have a side view here and slightly looking up. Let's see what we can do here. So this is a nice side view. The shovel head works great for side view. The little modified construction head. Okay, just want to hint at the neck and shoulders. All right, let's see what we can see here. So let's start. I already kind of ghosted in the jawline. Let's just keep that moving up. And it's fine. Horizontal center. The eye line clearly flows to the ear in this case. And brow line. Hairline. It's a little bit tricky to find. His hair is kind of shaped. I'm just going to ghost it in there. What I'm looking at is this curve. So all of these can be his hairline, but I'm just going to estimate it to be there. Let's see if that works out. If not, I can always move it. That's a beautiful thing. So that distance should give me this distance to the nose, roughly. And that nose will help me to find the ear connection, and it does in this case. It does line up quite nicely. The lobe as well. And then this distance helped me to find the bottom of the chin. So it does nicely. Here, from here, about halfway is the center of the mouth. So that's working out nicely. So I got my thirds, got my sphere, my globe for my eye. What I'm looking at is this curve right there. That's the curve that I want. That curve is helping me to find the curve of the eye. Okay, tear duct. Help me to find the side of the nose, bottom of the nose. And I'm just going to go ahead and ghost in a nose here. And ghost in that little bump of his brow, frontalis. Those are muscles, I believe, are contracting. Mentalis or frontalis? I forget. These little muscles right here, creating that bump in his forehead, brow. So the hair. Okay, center of the eyes. It's going to help me to find where the mouth would end. In this case, there's a beard there. You can see the lip, and we can see the ball of the chin. So that's nice. Let's see. That's a nice rhythm there. And definitely review the rhythms video for more exercises to help you with that. So I'm looking for this cheekbone here. I want to know where that, I want this. I want to know where, if that's close, I want to align that. So I'm just going to use a rhythm line. And I know that that rhythm follows nicely down across into the ear, the sideburn, and that rhythm line, that curve I just drew helped me to better align the ear and refine its size and shape. Once you have the alignment, it's obviously the next thing you want is to refine size and shape, refine the alignment, move it a little bit up, down, left, right, whatever is needed. So back of his head here, and then the shirt. And then the back of his head really doesn't matter. It's a bunch of hair in this case. Just giving myself some more visual cues. So I feel pretty good about that. Let's give myself a little bit of detail here. So I'm going to start to detail the eye. I'm going to look for I feel a lot better about this likeness than the previous one. But that's okay. It's not about likeness anyway. And again, if you're brand new, hope you're following along with me, doing the best you can. Again, it's a little too difficult. I would definitely go back to the tracings and master copies until you build up your dexterity and skill as well. Yeah, side view is nice. They tend to go by quickly. There's just less information to draw. Yeah, alignment wise feels pretty good. Let me add some tone here. Okay, just to give me an idea, help me to get on the right track. In this case, my alignments were pretty good. I think side view tends to be, once you understand how to place the ear and use the ear, side view becomes really, really fun, not as tricky. I got to credit Kevin Chen for that. He's one of the great drawing teachers out in Hollywood, there in California, Los Angeles, and he taught me the importance of the ear. So now I use it all the time as a tool. So if you're just doing a study, I think you don't really need to add tone. This is more for those who are a little bit more advanced. You can definitely take your study as far as you can once you practice your alignments, because you can see a lot of a lot of this is related to all the stuff we talked about. Rhythms. A lot of these lines are rhythms to planes. A lot of these lines help us define planes. And proportion, rule of halves, rule of thirds. So all of these things, the more you draw, you'll see like just how related these tools are, these principles are, and then you'll see that, you know, you can, if you just practice, right, do your exercises, get your hours in, just keep drilling these exercises, keep drilling the information. A lot of it overlaps. So when you're practicing your alignments, you're also practicing your planes and your rhythms. When you're practicing your planes and rhythms, you're also practicing your proportions and so on. So this is just a great, that's the beauty about having a good head drawing system, for lack of a better word, set of tools and principles, because then you can just keep repeating, 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 repeating. That's exactly what I did. And one thing that I've discovered learning from various great artists and great teachers and studying from the masters is there's a lot of overlap. A lot of this information is generally the same. All comes from the same source, really. All of this realist knowledge comes from Italy. But yeah, get your hours in, and I hope these videos are helpful for those who are on the journey. It's really what my goal is, to have some exercises to help those who are just starting out, and those who are new. Maybe you've been drawing a while, but you're new to this type of realism, this illustrative realism, this American West Coast kind of realism is what I call it. If you're just learning this, then this is be a great way too to get familiar with these set of principles.